I want you to imagine a time when you were a bit younger. I want you to imagine a time when you were walking to school when you were 14 years old. And you followed the same route day after day, week after week, year after year to get to the classroom. Yet this one day is different. And this one day you take a different path. And you take this different path because you're so consumed with self-doubt, with anxiety, almost like this dark cloud is all upon you, all encompassing you, that you don't know where else to turn. And I want you to imagine instead of going to the classroom, you're walking towards a bridge. And at 14 years old, contemplating ending your life. You see, mental health support for students, I believe, is outdated and there's not enough of it. And for this student, they didn't get enough support. Now, luckily in that moment, they decided to text their mum and they came and got collected and their life was spared. Yet for so many students are getting let down by a lack of mental health support. So many parents and families are struggling and so many people are just in pain and don't know the best way to go about improving their lives. Now, luckily, I was really fortunate to have met this young man. And as an experienced teacher and student breakthrough coach, I was able to work with him to develop resilient mental health. And it's a story of actual success. Just imagine being in that low place, but having someone who believed in you, who asked you great questions, who was there with empathy, was a heart with ears, who helped you take new action steps. And now that young man has gone back into school, he's finished his GCSEs, and he's set up an amazing Instagram page to help other young people with their mental health. Now here's the thing, just imagine you making that same impact. Imagine how that level of contribution would make you feel. And if I'm honest, it's not really about you, but it's about the great people that you can help and the young people that are in need. So welcome to this training. My name is Sam Moyne, the founder of Student Breakthrough and the Educators Coaching Academy. And in this training, I'm going to share with you 3 simple ways that you can help young people overcome anxiety and grow in confidence. Every single thing I'm about to share with you on this training is in our 3B student coaching program, which you learn on our training session. These are groundbreaking strategies. You can have them right now. And what I expect for you to do is to grab a pen and paper and take a couple of notes because the time is now. As I always say, it's easier to build strong children than to repair broken adults. And if you can learn one thing on this training, imagine the impact it can make to your son and daughter. Just think about the potential it could help with one of your students in the classroom. You see, there's so many possibilities and it starts right here. So let's get into it. The first thing I want to share with you is actually a great tool to help students open up if they're feeling a little bit lost or a little bit scared. And it's actually called the Iceberg. So if you want to imagine, here's my iceberg. Let's get a nice blue. The iceberg is a great coaching metaphor. The reason for that is because like an iceberg, as human beings, we only see the surface level of what's going on, right? We only see anxiety, pain, depression. Let's actually start with anxiety here. Anxious, let's just write anxious here, okay? So the surface, we sometimes only see anxious behavior. Okay, maybe this person is withdrawing themselves. Maybe they're not as forthcoming in conversations, and maybe they're just not feeling themselves. So that level of anxiety. What we never really think is actually, well, what's going underneath the surface to impact that, right? What failure have they maybe faced? What setbacks have they maybe had to overcome? What's a challenge in their life that they're currently going through? So what we can do with this tool, if you're working with a student or a young person and they're like, I don't really know what's going on, but I'm just not feeling my best, jot down their surface level behavior here with them. It could be anger, pain, like whatever it is. And then help them to explore by looking underneath the surface, right? About what is really going on for them. And we help students go here by underneath the surface by showing up and being present with them. The first tip for this, to go a bit deeper, is to become a heart with ears. And we're talking about heart-centered listening right now. You know, removing your own agenda and putting the single spotlight onto that young person. Trust me, it's a magical experience when you give someone your time. And when doing that, we can look beneath the surface and they can start to unlock maybe some of these things that are causing this. And once we use our listening, we can start asking great, powerful questions that start with what, with how, or why. As student coaches, we never actually tell students what to do. We sit back and we're like the guide, helping them with their blind spots, like what can't they see right now? And we do that by asking great, powerful questions. So if you're working with a young person, again, they don't really know what's going on for them, jot down the surface level behavior at the top and then help them to explore what are the reasons behind this. And once they've got some reasons written down, you can then start acting on them with action steps. And we'll get onto that in a little bit. But I just want to take you guys back now. I'm Sam Moynier, the founder of Student Breakthrough and the Educators Coaching Academy. I've helped impact the lives of thousands of students all across the world and trained hundreds of people in my coaching methods. So again, that's the surface level, right? That's what you guys can see right now. But I just want to take you guys back to my story and how I've got to where I am today, to look beneath the surface. So for me, I had one dream when I was growing up as a kid, and all I wanted to do was become a soldier. You see, my dad was a Royal Marine Commando. He fought in the Falklands War, right? Proper, an amazing guy and my inspiration. And as someone who was suffering with anxiety as a kid and got bullied as a kid, I felt, well, how can I stand out? What can I do to make my dad love me, to be proud of me? And I made the decision to join the British Army. Now I want you to imagine what dream you had as a kid. Get that in your mind. What was your dream? And now I want you to imagine the feeling, right, if you achieved that dream. In 2012, I achieved it, and I got accepted into the Royal Anglian Regiment of the British Army. Now trust me, at 21 years old, I was over the moon. I cut through this letter, it had red wax stamp, cut through that, read the first line, and I finally felt like my life was complete, right, that I was worthy. I run up to my dad at 21, I hug him, and I finally feel this like love from him. Or so I thought, I thought that's what he wanted. But I want you to imagine a time when life wasn't going so well. When you were struggling a little bit. You see, 2 weeks after I got accepted, another letter comes through the post. And I kneel down, and I pick up this letter, and I cut through the red wax. And the first line changed my life. I said, Sam, unfortunately, you failed the medical exam due to the fact you've been diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And at 21 years old, I fell to the floor like a little kid, literally in a fetal position. And I cried. And I cried. And I cried. And as these tears were coming down my face, I felt this immense pressure of being like a victim. Like, why has this happened to me? Why have I let my dad down? Now, as a result of that pain, it started to really impact my mental health. And this anxiety that I felt as a student or as a kid started to grow again, let's say. And I became a teacher around this time. I didn't know what else to do. And in my first year of teaching, this level of anxiety just kept, like I said, kept growing. And I kept having this almost dark cloud over my head. And it got so bad that sometimes in my classes, I'd have to turn away from the board. Not because I was writing on the board, but because I felt so low that I was gonna like burst into tears. And it was at that moment I realized I had to do something to improve my mental health. Now I want you to imagine someone who's had a massive benefit on your life. Could be a sports coach, a teacher, a parent. You see, in 2015, for the first time in my life, I opened up to someone and it was a massive game changer. Now this person was a coach. And I thought a coach was for rugby, for football, for cricket, but this guy was a coach for my mindset and how I felt. And for someone who's been brought up to be like a strong, tough guy, this was a massive game changer and revelation. You see, true courage is not in our actual physical strength. It's actually in being that vulnerable place where we can be open. Now, one thing I learned on there, in that coaching session, I want you to write this down if you've got a pen and paper, is to express, don't suppress. Spell that right. Express, don't suppress. Now, if you're working with students or young people, this is a great message to install in them, to express what's going on for them. In that moment, I learned that. And as a result of all of this, it was like taking my sunglasses off on holiday. And I felt vibrant, I felt colourful, I felt alive for the first time in years. I went back into my teaching job, fell in love with it, but I saw so many students that were struggling. Students were struggling with anxiety, with depression, even like feeling of confidence, of not being motivated. And just like the student I shared in the first story on this training, I felt there wasn't enough time or the right type of support to help them. So one night I decided to do something about it. And I had this massive brainwave. What if I could coach students, not just teach them history, but coach them to have resilient mental health? So in 2018, I formed Student Breakthrough and quit my teaching job. Since then, our program of Boost, Believe and Breakthrough has helped thousands of students all across the world to become just the best version of them. And linking to that, we've got a great training program called the Coach Breakthrough and the Educators Coaching Academy, which instills these coaching skills into adults so they can better support young people. It's an amazing process. So what I want to share with you now is actually a little tip to help with those beliefs and to help when we have these challenging beliefs, these challenging thoughts. You see, for a lot of the time, I felt like I was a failure and I couldn't do this stuff, right? I felt like I was a victim. You see, we have 80,000 thoughts a day, and like 90% of these are negative. But I want you to understand this. We've got 80,000 thoughts. Trust me, the majority of them are not reality. That's why if people say, oh, just think positive, it doesn't really work, right? Because if everyone could just think positive, then we wouldn't have any mental health challenges. So I'm going to share with you a little simple strategy in how you can see those thoughts with a bit of distance, a bit of space, but also not to latch onto them, to have that separation and to see your thinking as just that, just thinking. So what we're going to do, if you've got a pen and paper, split a page into 4 equal sections. At the top, I want you to write the word belief. At the bottom, I want you to write feel. Here, I want you to write action. And up here, I want you to write impact. And I want you to ask yourself, what is a thought or a belief that shows up for you quite a lot in a negative way? You see, this word belief, right? We've got this word lie inside it. And that's literally what it is. A belief is an assumption that something is true, usually without proof. So let's give a belief. Back when I was, when I was struggling, let's say I can't do this. I had the belief, the thought, I can't do this. I want you to write down one for me as well. Now, when you're working with a young person, this is a great way to help them engage with their thinking. Okay, it's an absolute game changer. If you can instill this in them from a younger age, they're going to become a resilient adult, remember. But let's go for the negative. If we think we can't do this, then how's it going to make us feel? You see, our thinking changes our emotional state. I can't do this, I might feel sad, I might feel a bit low, I might feel down. So our thinking massively changes our emotional state. And once our emotional state has been shifted, then it impacts the actions that we take or do not take. So for instance, when I was struggling in my NQT year as a teacher, I can't do this. I felt this way. The action would be, I can't go to school. My action might be nearly crying in class, right? Because I was so broken, so low. I felt like I couldn't go in. And the impact of that was that, I felt worthless. Impact. Didn't do my job. And it then leads into this belief, because our brain is constantly been trying to be proven right. So if we're getting these impacts, it's going to feed into this belief that we can't do this. Now, what I want you to take from this, if we can change this, have a better relationship with our beliefs and our thinking, then we can start to change how we feel. If we can change how we feel, we can change the actions we take. And then lastly, it changes our impacts. So I've got a great little strategy to share with you right now, which is an amazing way to engage better with your thinking. Remember, you can't control your thoughts, but you can control how you respond to them. So if you're up for this, this is a great way to help yourself and students. Now we're going to use the acronym of TIRED. So on the left-hand side of your page, I want you to write down that word TIRED. And this stands for, are you tired of your limiting thoughts or your limiting beliefs? Let's go for the one that I used. What I want you to do at the top of the page, I want you to write down a belief or a thought that you have. It could be like, I can't do this. Quite a generic one, right? I can't do this. So the T, that stands for true. And I want you to ask yourself, and you can ask students this, or your children, or your sons or daughters, whatever, is that thought or belief 100% true? Right? I can't do this. Is that 100% true? Most of the time it won't be 100%. But yet we see our assumptions as want to be proven correct all the time. We've got to engage with this stuff. Just because you have a thought, it doesn't make it 100% true. That's your assumption. So if we can engage with this, is it 100% true, yes or no? And when we say let's say it's not 100% true, we can go down here to I, which is impact. Now it's important when we work with young people that we help them explore a little bit about the negative behind that thought. Okay, the negative, what's actually really going on? If we see this as truth, how's it going to impact us? And it can impact us here, a bit like we looked at before. It could help us not take action. It can make us feel quite sad and miserable. For me, it stopped me going into school and doing my job. So I was seeing all of this stuff as 100% fact. So we look at the negative, the impact. What's the impact of having this thought? The R stands for remove. And I absolutely love this one here, right? If you want to work with a young person on this, this is a golden question. What could be possible if that didn't hold you back? Who could you be, right, if you remove this thought? Life is all about being. We get stuck into a trap of wanting to have stuff all the time. We need to work on who we can be. If I remove this, right, using my imagination, it's great in coaching, by the way, we use a lot of imagination. If I remove that, I can't do this, I'll be able to, well, be a bit more confident. If I removed that and didn't see it as 100% truth, I may be able to notice that thought and let it pass. If I was able to remove that, I might be able to actually go into school and start teaching again. Can you see, it's so easy to get dragged into our thinking is 100% accurate, but it's just your assumption, it's not 100% true. So you can use these coaching questions throughout when you're working with a young person. Like, is it true that you can't do history, for instance? Yes or no? Ask them that. What would happen if you changed that thought, if you removed it? Ask them that. The E stands for evidence, which is another great coaching question here. So again, our brains love being proven right. And we're going to use the rule of 3 here, where I want you to find 3 pieces of evidence of where you've actually removed that thought in the background, or where you've done something different. So for instance, if I remove this and I write down, like, if I remove it, I can go into school and start teaching. I want to look back on my life and find some evidence of when I've been doing that. A great quote from Steve Jobs says that we can't connect the dots looking forward. We can only connect them looking backwards. So we have to trust in something. Our gut, destiny, life, karma, that the dots will somehow connect further down the road. So what this means is, however old you are, look back on your life and connect the dots about something you've overcome, a challenge that you've grown from, a problem you've solved. Find that evidence and start clocking it in your brain. Again, working with young people, what's an example of when you overcome this in the past? Instill in that growth mindset from a young age. And the last one is do. Now in coaching, we talk a lot about action. Action beats anxiety. Action beats procrastination. Action gets us moving forward. So do is, what can you do right now? How can you move forward? Now, whenever you're working with a young person and you have these interactions with them, you're asking them questions, it's super important as well to not just give your advice, but actually to sit back. What could you do right now as an action step to move your life forward? How can you grow from this? Can you see these great questions that instill action? Actually, on that note, we get trapped in this, that, say we need, let's say, confidence, right? We've got to have confidence. And then that leads to progress. And then that leads to action, right? So we're going to have confidence, then we can start progressing, then eventually we take action. Here's the thing, right? It starts here. And we need to start showing young people that it starts with action. So action then gives us that feeling of progress, yes. And then by taking action, we then gain confidence. Because if you're waiting for confidence, if you're waiting for motivation, if you're waiting for whatever, you're going to be waiting a really long time. Like, one thing I've learned in all of this journey is that it starts with this. Action, action, action. It's the most important thing. Awesome, so let's just recap. So far we've looked at the Iceberg, a great tool to take students a little bit deeper and to find out what's going on with them. Remember, once we've got a little bit more information about what's going on, it's a great way to set action steps with them to help them improve. So the Iceberg is a great tool if you've got those students who are feeling a bit uncertain. We then looked at our belief chart and showing how our beliefs and our thoughts impact our emotions, the actions we do or not take, and the impacts that that gets. Again, helping students to explore that in your coaching sessions or as a teacher is so, so important. The last thing I shared is that tired of limiting beliefs acronym. Now you can use those coaching questions, as just those coaching questions to help students again go deeper and discover a bit about what's going on for them. Now, the most important part of all of this, we've talked about action, and the most important thing right now is for you to take an action step. You see the distance between your dreams and the reality is that word action. And I want you to take your pen right now and write down one thing you're going to commit to doing based on this talk. What is one thing you're going to do differently? Could be to listen deeper, be a heart with ears, ask great questions, use the iceberg, connect with the belief chart, use a TIDE acronym, or just anything you've taken away. But what are you going to commit to not only help you, but also the young people in your life? A great quote from Martin Luther King, like, take the first step, even when you can't see the whole staircase. What I want to do right now is to show you guys our signature 4I system for our Coach Breakthrough Training Program. The first I stands for instruct. When you start our coach training program, we have a series of online modules that takes about 6 months to complete. And in those modules, we have 4 overviews that are linked to ICF credentials. So the first part is learning the 3 Bs of boost, believe, and breakthrough, and how that works. So when you're doing this, you're actually learning the knowledge during the week, and then you're implementing it on our live coaching sessions, which comes into our step 2 of our system. And step 2 is inspire. Now, once you've learned the 3B program on weekly modules that are really easy to digest, you then start using that in your live coaching sessions. Now, the 5A is the system that we use in our student coaching sessions and also in our practical sessions. This is why I love this course so much, because you're doing flexible online learning, but also inspiring and using that in the week. Now, this course is not just helping you to learn how to coach students, it's going to help your mental health. We've had people become better parents, friends, siblings. Everyone just improves themselves as a human being on this course because they get coaching every single week. You coach someone, they coach you. It's great for your personal development. Once we've done that, we then start instigating. Now, once you've finished the program, you've learned the 3 Bs, you've done some coaching with students, you've finished the course, which is 20 modules in length, you then have the chance to access our 3P modules. Now, the 3Ps stand for personal, pitch, and promote. Now, the reason we had these in there is because you can learn the course, but it's so important you understand, well, how you can monetize this. And when I say money, it's not just about sales, right, and numbers, but obviously if you're not necessarily closing students and you're not closing parents or schools onto your coaching, then you're not going to be making an impact. You're not going to be making that difference. So it's so important we include this in here as a way that you can actually start doing this stuff, right, and actually start using the coach training. And then the last one is impact. And once you've completed the 3 Ps, you become a Student Breakthrough accredited coach. And you can start being linked to our organization, start coaching, and we're going to support you 100% of the way. Our little coaching family is growing, and we do support each other. And that's what we really promote here, is this family setting in our coach training. But it all starts with instruct, then to inspire, then to instigate, and then to impact. Trust me, this coaching is not just for helping students, it helps you so much. We've got over 100 5-star reviews online and loads of testimonials of people who have completed our training and got fantastic results. Some of them, by the way, getting their actual initial investment back in 3 months due to paid coaching. So if you're interested, what you need to do is visit studentbreakthrough.com. You can email me, which is sam@studentbreakthrough.com. And what we'll do is book a discovery call together, just simply to see if this is the right course for you. It will take between 15 and 30 minutes. Really, we want to find out a bit more about you because we want to make sure that you are suitable for the course. So get in contact, hit the link below, email sam@studentbreakthrough.com. And remember, it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken adults. Thank you so much for watching this training. I'm so grateful and looking forward to working with you very soon.